Episode 68, Alluring Fragrance. Ultimate Beauty Scheme. Jiong excitedly exclaimed, "Since your scenes are light from now on, I invited you to go to the bar for a drink tonight." Ningxi raised a finger and shook it. "Sorry, even though I do plan to relax at the bar tonight, I'll be going alone, not with you." Jiong got angry. "Damn it. Why not with me?" Ningxi gave him a glance. "Are you not satisfied with the 2 times we've messed things up together? That time was an accident. Besides, you even got a sponsorship because of that incident." Jiong argued confidently. "Who can guarantee I'll be so lucky every time? Mr. Big Star Jiong, please spare me. Go have fun by yourself. I don't want to cause trouble for Sister Gigi again." 1 hour later, Carlos Bar. Carlos Bar had a distinctive feature. Guests here were almost completely devoid of the lower class, especially men. Outside, mentioning Carlos Bar was often accompanied by the phrase, "Poor people and dogs are not allowed." What attracted the rich and wealthy was, of course, the equally beautiful appearance, figure, and temperament of the women, escorts and socialites alike. Apart from wealth and power, a beautiful appearance was also the most effective pass here. For Ningxi, the greatest advantage of this bar was that she didn't need to go through the trouble of disguising herself. Here, it was almost impossible for anyone to recognize a relatively unknown small celebrity like her, so she could completely relax. After finally getting rid of the lamenting Jiong, when Ningxi arrived at the bar, most of the seats were already taken. So, she casually found a corner and sat down. For Ningxi, the biggest advantage of this bar was that she didn't need to go through the trouble of disguising herself. Here, it was almost impossible for anyone to recognize a relatively unknown small celebrity like her, so she could completely relax. Just as Ningxi sat down, a few young men not far away began to look around, seemingly searching for prey. Their eyes immediately locked onto Ningxi's direction, revealing a deep and profound meaning. "Her appearance and temperament are outstanding, but her attire doesn't suit my taste." "Yeah, she doesn't look like a socialite." "Not a socialite, is she an escort? Let's observe. There are plenty of beautiful women in the bar tonight. No need to be in a hurry." These young men sat on relatively high-quality leather sofas, assuming a lazy and comfortable posture. Their voices were neither too light nor too heavy, just enough for the people around to hear clearly. As soon as they finished speaking, several young people nearby suddenly stood up simultaneously. The leader, a young man wearing an expensive shirt and trousers, fixed his narrow eyes tightly on Ningxi. "Hee, this girl's temperament and appearance are top-notch. Not suitable for your taste. My brothers and I will take her. Mr. Li, go ahead." The young men on the sofa smiled faintly, not caring. Most of their targets were true socialites. They were indifferent even if the woman was beautiful. If she wasn't from that class, they were not interested. Thus, when the few young men gathered around Mr. Li and began to whistle in Ningxi's direction, "Hey, beauty, want to come over and sit together?" The bar played tasteful background music, not sounding harsh or noisy. Ningxi's cold eyes casually swept over the few young men and did not give any response. This kind of thing had happened to Ningxi several times before. She had long been accustomed to it and chose to ignore it. In a high-class bar like this, things were unlikely to become ugly. "Hey, girl. Didn't you hear Mr. Li asking you to come over?" Seeing that Ningxi was completely ignoring them, the expressions of the young men around Mr. Li turned a bit unpleasant, and their tone instantly hardened. Before those young men could finish their derogatory remarks, Mr. Li extended his hand, patting the shoulder of one of them, and said with a smile, "Conquering a girl like her is a process of enjoyment. Do you understand?" Upon hearing Mr. Li's words, the young man's face filled with a smile. "Mr. Li is right. I was too impatient. Dealing with such a girl, we can't do it. Mr. Li should take action personally, and we brothers can observe and learn from the side, making sure not to embarrass Mr. Li in the future." Mr. Li nodded in satisfaction, adopting the tone of a senior. "With a girl like this, you can't be hasty. Let's take it slow." After saying this, he gave Ningxi a meaningful look, then returned to the VIP lounge with the young men. Seeing that those young men didn't continue to pester her, Ningxi also stopped paying attention. She leisurely sipped her drink, enjoying the relaxing atmosphere and listening to the soothing music. This extreme state of relaxation inadvertently revealed a touch of laziness, adding a bit more alluring charm to the air. When waiting for her order, Ningxi logged into Weibo. She noticed that her Weibo had not been updated for a long time, and since the drama was about to wrap up, it would be a good idea to stir up some attention. So, she thought for a moment and composed a post. As night falls, listening to the wind and rain, the Iron Horse enters the dream. Countdown to the end of filming. Soon, the number of comments and likes began to soar, and many crew members also reposted her post. Jiong reposted it with the caption, 10 years of life and death, 2 vast realms, not thinking about it, it's hard to forget. It coincided with the poignant and touching relationship between Meng Chang'e and Sun Huanqing. As soon as Jiong reposted it, his fans exploded, immediately starting discussions about the extremely popular CP of Meng Chang'e and Sun Huanqing. At the same time, in the VIP box on the top floor of Carlos Bar, Lu Tingxiao was pouring himself a drink. At this moment, the phone on the table vibrated with a ding. He opened it and saw the latest Weibo notification, which happened to be the post Ningxi had just made. He had set up a special follow for Ningxi and installed a small program on his phone. Every time Ningxi updated, it would automatically vibrate and ring to remind him. Lan Jingli, who was beside him, glanced at it and couldn't help but feel speechless. Oh my. Brother, you've really gone too far. To see her updates in a timely manner, you even made a little program. I really can't understand the romantic ideas of you science guys. Lu Tingxiao ignored his younger brother and kept staring at Ningxi's Weibo post. With such a short sentence, can you really see anything special? Lan Jingli muttered quietly. Afterward, he saw his brother's slender fingers press a few times, then edit a short message and send it to Ningxi. Lan Jingli leaned over to sneak a peek, and the next moment, after seeing the content, he covered his eyes and fell back into his seat, rolling around. Ah. Damn. My titanium alloy dog eyes. I shouldn't have peeked. It was simply seeking torment. He thought his brother was in a state of heartbreak, so he wouldn't be tormented, but unexpectedly, he was tormented even more. Soon, downstairs, Ningxi's phone received a new message from Lu Tingxiao. Taking a sip of the cocktail the waiter had just brought her, Ningxi thought that Lu Tingxiao was just sending his usual report on his safety. So, she casually opened it. However, to her surprise, the message read, in the night, lying awake listening to the wind and rain, the Iron Horse is you, and the icy river is also you. PFF, Ningxi spurted out the drink in her mouth, her entire face burning. Goodness gracious. The Demon King was absolutely ruthless and unbearable. Ever since the day the Demon King said, one day, you will realize that cabbages and radishes are even more delicious, she had thought for a long time when she returned home but had been unable to figure out what plan the Demon King would have next. In this instant, she finally understood. The Demon King was clearly preparing to unleash his ultimate move, the beauty scheme. Ningxi was being flirted with until she felt like she was about to die. Suddenly, she caught sight of something flying rapidly in her direction. Instantly alert, she used her peripheral vision and swiftly reached out to grab a tray from the table, using it to block whatever was coming her way. The next second, with a loud bang, the object, which had almost hit her head, fell to the ground, making a sharp noise. Without waiting for Ningxi to find the person responsible, the person had already found the exit themselves. A socialite in a red sequin tight dress, surrounded by a group of people, walked up to her in a grand manner. She looked down at Ningxi condescendingly and said, oops, sorry. Just now, I don't know why, the bottle suddenly flew out. It didn't hit you, did it? Ningxi looked at the people with a cold expression and did not respond. She didn't like to cause trouble, but she wasn't afraid of trouble either. If the bottle had actually hit her, she wouldn't mind using her strength to teach them a lesson about human decency. Anyway, no one here knew her, so she could let loose. No problem. Ningxi stood up and didn't want to have any contact with these people. She intended to leave and find another quiet seat. Seeing this, the socialite secretly signaled to the several girls in front of her. The girls immediately understood, walked forward, and blocked Ningxi's way. Don't, just now, that bottle almost hit you. We feel really guilty about it, so we must compensate you. Yeah, it was our fault earlier. If we let it go like this, we'd feel really sorry. The girls harmonized their voices, as if genuinely feeling guilty. However, their expressions were filled with naked disdain, contempt, and scorn, without any concealment. At this moment, the music in the bar became softer, and many eyes around focused on this scene, most of them staring at Ningxi, seemingly waiting to see a joke. That girl is a genuine socialite. Although her appearance is ordinary, her family background is extraordinary. How did that girl offend her? Haha, she probably seduced her man. I know that socialite, she's Wang Ruolan, the young lady of the Wang family. She loves getting jealous. Seduced? I haven't seen that girl leave her seat. This is Carlos Bar. Seducing someone here only requires a few glances. Have you ever heard of exchanging meaningful glances? Don't be so vulgar. People around were discussing animatedly. Similar incidents happened almost every night at Carlos' bar, so others weren't surprised and were just watching for entertainment. Ningxi gave those girls a disdainful look and said coldly, "Compensation is not necessary. Your bottle didn't hit me. How can this be? We promise you, Lanjia won't agree, right, Lanjia?" One of the girls looked towards the socialite beside her. As she spoke, the socialite walked forward, stared at Ningxi, and sneered, "You're not having an easy time either. You come to Carlos' bar in the middle of the night, dressed like this, and you must have spent quite a bit of money. I can't let you leave empty-handed. This is a reward for you. No, compensation for you." After speaking, the socialite opened her Hermes bag, pulled out half a bundle of dazzling banknotes, and threw it directly at Ningxi's feet. 5,000, enough or not? Lanjia, you're really generous. Just now, you directly threw it at her. 5,000 is enough. Yes, our Lanjia is indeed generous. If we're talking about selling ourselves, one time is enough. Indeed, our Lanjia is kind-hearted. Otherwise, adding another 10,000 would be too much. Several girls ridiculed with faces full of sarcasm and opened their mouths. The scene in the bar was indeed explosive, and more people crowded around. The guy who had tried to hit on Ningxi earlier smirked, continuing to drink his alcohol nonchalantly, as if waiting for the perfect moment to make a move. At this moment, Ningxi furrowed her brow slightly. This woman didn't come to apologize, she was obviously here to cause trouble. How about this, not enough? You meet sellers, being with those old men, at most, they'd pay this much, right? The socialite stared disgustingly at Ningxi. Before Ningxi could say anything, there was a bang, and another stack of red banknotes fell at her feet. This is 10,000. Adding the previous 5,000, is 15,000 enough? The socialite sneered. Ah, Lanjia, this is too much. I think 3,000 will do. This kind of woman, seeing someone with Lanjia's status, of course, wants to extort more from her. Lanjia is kind-hearted. Otherwise, add another 10,000, making it 25,000. 25,000? I like this number. The socialite smirked arrogantly and actually pulled out another stack, throwing it in front of Ningxi. Ningxi raised an eyebrow as she examined the woman in front of her. Her gaze was almost indistinguishable from looking at an idiot. This kind of person had too much money and too much time on her hands. She wanted to make her presence felt, but unfortunately, in front of Ningxi, there was no presence at all. She was too brain-dead. Ningxi didn't even have the interest to tease her because there was no pleasure in it. Beautiful lady, take this money. Although 25,000 is not much, you've worked hard tonight. At this moment, a muscular, blonde, blue-eyed mixed-race man next to the socialite crouched down, picked up the money, and prepared to hand it to Ningxi. He even gave Ningxi a flirtatious look. Thank you, but I don't think I need this compensation. Ningxi's voice was somewhat cold. You rotten slut. At this moment, the socialite, for some unknown reason, suddenly shouted angrily, I thought you were pitiful, so I kindly offered you compensation, yet you dare to reject it. You hooked up with my family's Chengyun right in front of me. She had rushed over earlier because her male companion had kept glancing in this bitch's direction. As a result, this bitch had blatantly seduced Chengyun right in front of her. Did she think she was dead? Although Ningxi didn't want to pay attention to this woman, these people had pestered her several times. She had lost her patience, sneered immediately, and gave the mixed-race guy a disdainful look. Her gaze was as if she were looking at a piece of cheap pork. I hooked up with him? Nonsense. If you didn't hook up with him, are you saying that Chengyun is hooking up with you? Absurd. I don't know how to describe him as handsome. Have you ever seen a handsome man? The socialite touched her finely manicured nails, gazing at Ningxi's pretty face with a malicious expression. Now, kneel down and apologize to me. Promise that you'll never covet someone else's man again. Then crawl out of this bar, and we'll consider this matter settled tonight. Otherwise, you won't leave here tonight. Offending Miss Lee and still wanting to leave? It's not that easy. As soon as she finished speaking, a group of socialites' henchmen surrounded them. Ningxi glanced at those henchmen, calmly squeezing her finger joints. Hee, Lanjia, why are you so angry with this young lady? Why such a big fire? At this moment, the young Master Li, who had been drinking in the VIP section, suddenly stepped towards them, looking at the socialite with a smiling face. Oh, Master Li. Seeing the newcomer, the socialite's expression eased. Didn't you dislike these poor and cheap women who sell themselves? Why are you suddenly speaking up for one today? Longia, I really like this young lady. Give me some face and don't make things difficult for her. Masterly acted like a gentleman. Masterly likes her? The socialite was stunned for a moment, then she quickly recovered. Well, if Masterly likes her, there's nothing more to say. With Masterly's power, giving at least 50,000 for a night is a minimum. I really don't know what kind of luck this woman has. Beside her, several girls laughed secretly at her words. This Masterly was infamous for being a pervert in bed. No one knew how many women he had played to death. As long as there was money, he didn't care about this kind of woman, did he? This young lady, buy you for a night, 50,000, come with me. Otherwise, if you offend Longia, it will be difficult for you to leave Carlos Bar tonight. Masterly had a look of determination, walking towards Ningxi, intending to hold Ningxi's hand. The next second, with a slap, Ningxi's figure moved slightly, directly swatting away Master Li's extended hand. You! Having lost face on the spot, Master Li's face immediately darkened as if it could drip water. Without Master Li saying a word, the supporters next to him and his family's henchmen had silently surrounded them. So, at this moment, Ningxi was directly at odds with two groups of people, and the atmosphere on the scene was about to explode. Such a lively night tonight? Amidst the chaotic and noisy air, a voice as sharp as an ice blade suddenly sounded, like a pure sound in the turbid world, refreshing the soul. In an instant, everyone looked in the direction behind Ningxi, dumbfounded. Ningxi herself also froze. Whose voice was this? Great Demon King? As soon as Lu Tingxiao appeared, the frontmost socialites were immediately stunned. This man who suddenly appeared was no longer simply described with the word handsome. Every move and gesture exuded nobility. It seemed that just a cold glance would be enough to make people enchanted and unable to extricate themselves. Oh my God! Who is this man? So handsome. The important thing is not just being handsome. It's his aura. His aura is too powerful. So manly. I thought Qingyun was already man enough. In front of this man, he's completely insignificant. At this moment, the Lady Wang was staring blankly at Lu Tingxiao, her cheeks flushing brightly. The man in front of her was like a god, exactly like her dream ideal man. Just seeing him once, all the little fresh meat male companions she was so proud of next to her had become trash.